If the government turned complete totalitarian in the United States, which, let's be honest, maybe could happen, but hopefully won't in the near future. But anyway, in this Orwellian dystopian fantasy land, if the government put out a mandate that you could only have one outfit as an American citizen or a world citizen, if we go that direction, most people would be pretty up in arms. And while I absolutely am against all governmental control and want the government to have nothing to do with my personal life, for this specific fantasy example, I actually would not be upset, and am honestly leaning towards going towards one outfit as a human being, maybe one backup outfit, because the whole industry of fashion to me is just complete insanity. And I'm not saying that we should all look the same like in 1984 where they all have to wear overalls, but the idea that we just need all of these crazy different outfits to adorn ourselves with, and that's kind of a cornerstone of what people strive to spend their money and resources on. And it just, it's not just a wealthy 1% thing. You see people struggling to make ends meet, living paycheck to paycheck, but still scrolling to find deals on online shopping and just stuffing their wardrobe with more and more and more so that they can have different looks, different ways to express themselves. And I myself, I am an artist, and I do believe in a personal expression and being yourself. And I absolutely would not want to wear the same mandatory outfit that person X over here or person Y over there wants to wear. No, you should be able to wear whatever you want. But as I've pared my wardrobe down smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, I've found that I care about fashion less and less and less and less. And the things I do have are not necessarily basic, or like I use the example, the potato sack. They still are expressive of who I am as a human being and have their own unique flair to them, which is why I'm not saying, again, that fashion should just be completely eradicated and we all have to have just one little outfit that the entire world wears. No, that's ridiculous. However, as I've gone through my journey of extreme minimalism, I've found the less I have, the more abundant my life is. I've said this a million times on this channel, and if you're new here, then welcome. Let's dive into. This is a great place to start if you are curious about minimalism or extreme minimalism, or I think coined the term ultra minimalism because people tend to associate the word extreme with, ooh, that's bad, and that's too far, and that's too much, because it's outside of their comfort zone, and it's triggering something deep in them that they maybe don't want to look at or don't want to change. So anyone that lives very, very differently than them, they'll label it as extreme and thus bad so that they don't have to perhaps take a look at their own habits and change. So extreme, ultra, I don't know. To me, the word extreme doesn't mean a bad thing. I just use ultra as a sort of like friendly approach to this lifestyle. But for me, it's not about numbers or trying to prove some sort of point or go against the grain to get attention or YouTube videos. I've lived this way long before I had a YouTube channel, and honestly was this way since I was a very little kid. And the more I grew into society and came into societal pressures, I felt the need to accumulate more things to be normal and just have these ways, especially with fashion as a woman and in the entertainment business, where my body and my look was in my contract and how I got paid and got hired for certain jobs. The pressure to have all of these crazy different outfits and also just to be liked or to get male attention, it very much ballooned in my life to having an out of control wardrobe. But by societal standards, I wouldn't say it was even out of control. It wasn't hoarding. It was just, a walk-in closet filled with things. But as I've come now to this point, coming back into my truer self, my most authentic self, I have about 30 items in my wardrobe. And yes, it's nice, and yes, it's not excessive, and it is so much less than the average human being, and I'm being more sustainable and yada, yada, yada. But there's still the same pattern that exists of sometimes decision fatigue, although it's really like, is it hot or is it cold? And if it's hot, First of all, it's 80 degrees and I'm wearing this coat for the sake of this video, but I'm going to interrupt myself so I can take this damn coat off. It is too hot. It is August and like 85 degrees actually outside right now, and I have my windows shut so I can have good audio for this. So this coat needs to come off, but this is that outfit. This is the superhero outfit. When it's cold, there's this jacket. When it's hot, like it is now, I am sweating. There, this is the outfit. I feel comfortable in this, and it feels like a genuine expression of me, and it feels like the way I want to live my life in. But going back to what I was saying with the 30 items that I have in my wardrobe, I found even with these YouTube videos and trying to make minimalism accessible to people, there was still this pressure of, oh, well, I haven't worn this one in a while, and oh, I need to show this one, and oh, this type of turtleneck goes with kind of the vibe of what I'm talking about. Oh, it's a finance video, so let's look a little bit more professional. And oh, it's a vegan video, so let's look a little bit more sporty. And nothing's wrong with that. I don't regret it. It's been fun. Again, it's an artistic expression, but life is always a continuing evolution and journey. And especially if you're sharing it online, like I feel like it's good to be transparent about where you are. And I've just found that even as this journey with my own personal evolution continues, and with what I gravitate towards as being important in life, fashion just matters even less. And I've used this example before of looking out into the world at bears, birds, tigers, a peacock, a beetle, a beautiful snow leopard, like you name it, a redwood tree, not just animals, like all of it, the ocean. Nothing in nature needs adornments to make it more beautiful than it is. And yes, we are humans and we have developed a society. In the modern world, there's still some uncontacted tribes in the Amazon where clothing is optional, or if you go to Black's Beach in San Diego, clothing is optional, but to go to work or to just go in daily life, like it's against the law to be naked. And I'm not necessarily a nudist, like I'm not at home. I am, I live alone, but out in the world, okay, yes, we all have to wear some clothes if you want to not get arrested. And especially if you live in a cold climate, being naked in New Jersey in January, probably gonna catch a cold, if not some frostbite or some other ailments. Although Wim Hof, he did run a marathon barefoot in Antarctica, which is pretty amazing. I think he said he got some frostbite, but the human body is more adaptable than we think it to be. But coming back, yes, okay, we all have to wear some clothes, but I'm challenging myself on, okay, I have this magic number of 30 and it's just, my few favorite pieces, but I found as I come more and more into silence, which I talk about so much, and more into who I want to be as a human being in this world and what matters to me in this world. I don't give a shit about fashion. I want something that exemplifies my energy, that will cover my body, because again, I have to wear some clothes out in the world. But I've used this example of the superhero costume. We all love to emulate or look up to or admire or fantasize about superheroes, as long as that's been in the culture. And even before the superhero culture of kind of the modern world of comics and movies, we had folklore and mythology of gods and goddesses. And all of these archetypes just have their one outfit, and we never would say like, oh man, Superman, like he really has got to get a new outfit, or Catwoman or Wonder Woman, man, she's gonna wear those same boots again, like, oh, yawn, like get it together, girl, get on Pinterest and get something new and exciting. Like no, you want Wonder, if she was in a different outfit every time, it would kind of like mess with the archetype. Like we expect to see these superheroes in their outfits, and yes, okay, these are fun fantasies, but the whole mythology and superhero culture, it came out of human fantasy, of this sort of longing within ourselves, I think, to be this ideal version of ourselves. We see superheroes, it's a reflection of, well, that's something I'd want to be to the world. And yes, okay, we can't all fly or breathe underwater like Aquaman, although I'm a synchronous swimmer, I can sort of kind of do that. Or, shoot stuff out of us like Spider-Man, whatever. Okay, so that all part of it is fantasy, but the part of it that's more tangible is what do these superheroes do? They give of themselves, they give of their very best selves, they sacrifice themselves, they have a duty, they have a mission, they have a purpose to help the greater good. And that's something we all can do every day in our own way. You know, Wonder Woman doesn't do the same things that Batman does, or going back to sort of Greek mythology. I read this wonderful book, don't remember the author's name. That's not helpful for you. Don't remember the title either, but she was going over sort of like archetypes within women, and it's certainly with men too. I just happened to read, this book was about women specifically, how there's different Greek goddess archetypes within each woman, but we tend to have sort of one that we're just dominated by, and this is a good thing. We're all bring something unique and awesome to the table, but there's like Athena, who is kind of more the goddess of war, and that plays out as like kind of the power woman in society, the CEO, the boss lady, like getting shit done. And then there's oh man, I'm forgetting the names of these now, but then there's like the mother goddess archetype, who is the one who is nurturing, and then there's like or Hestia, I think is her name, but they're Dimitri, I think, is the mother one, and then Hestia is like the homemaker, the one who is providing a good nest for everyone, the one in the village that makes everyone feel welcome. This is like your grandma that bakes everyone cookies. And then there's one called Artemis, which that's the one I identify with so strongly. And she lived out in the wild. She lived just kind of on her own in nature, and her job was to protect younger children and animals. And funny how before I read about this, maybe like 2 years ago, I read this book or something, but my life, a huge chunk of my life has been coaching young girls and trying to protect them and teach them how to love themselves and succeed in the world. And then also a big part of my life has been vegan activism, and I am, so that's protecting the animals. So, and just the independence of this goddess archetype, and just being at one with nature and not wanting to fit into societal norms and the pressures to be a homemaker and to have all the accoutrements and whatever. Like, there's no hierarchy within it. There's not one that's good or bad or better than the other. But the point is that we've created these all came out of human imagination, and these were all these idealized versions of self. And rather than have them be fantasy and go watch it passively in a movie and escape from your life, why not take on that superhero energy into your life? And which is bringing me to the bigger point of this sort of roundabout video. I didn't have a total plan for this, by the way. I kind of just had a vibe and we're going off of it, but it's materializing, so here we are. But coming back to this distraction of fashion and this sort of insecurity of, I need to put on all these different outfits all the time to please someone else, to live up to society's standards, to try and get this man's attention or this woman's attention, or to try and fit in with this friend group, or to try and be noticed on social media, or to try and get that whatever job promotion. Like, if you really want to play that game, then play it out. That's your path. But I don't want to play that game, and I don't care. And if there's a certain job out there that won't hire me because I'm not willing to wear a business pantsuit or whatever, then that's not the right job for me. I'm single, I very much would like to be in a partnership, but if there is a man out there that's like, oh, I don't like how her hair is always pulled back and she wears leggings and a crop top, I wish she would wear a dress and heels and a full face of makeup all the time, he's allowed to have those preferences, but that's not the man for me. And because coming to this bigger point again of this video is, the thing I have come to through this journey of extreme minimalism is there is no possession, there is no material thing that could bring me any joy. There is no new thing that could come into my life that I can buy with money that would make me happy, that would make me a better human being, that would give me the just joy of being alive. I've found the more that comes in, the more it stresses me out, the more it clutters the joy of being alive, the more it clutters who I am as a person, because ultimately the one thing I want as an ultra minimalist, I think that's going to be the title, we'll see, yeah, but yes, it will be. The one thing that I only truly want now as an ultra minimalist is passion and purpose, my highest path, my work, why my duty, what I'm here to do as a human being. And I'm beginning to scratch the surface of this, but I'm certainly not there completely. I'm working as a bartender. Is that my passion and purpose? No. It keeps a roof over my head, it pays the bills, it keeps me out of an office, which I know would make me way more miserable, at least lets me be physical and use the intensity of my energy, which are good things for me, and gives me freedom, which is also a good thing for me. But the one thing, and I pray about this every night when I sit down to eat my meal out of my one wooden bowl. I have an intention that I set, which is deepest connection to Mother Gaia, deepest connection to Source, my highest path, my highest self, and then silent power. The first two, obviously pretty self-explanatory, just wanting to be connected to the earth and to source energy and letting what wants to come through me, and silent power, the ending. You've heard me, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know how much reverence I have for silence, because it's bringing us, I think, into true presence and to true existence when there's so much man-created noise and distraction out there between the Netflix, Hulu, Disneyland, endless shopping, endless scrolling on Pinterest, endless news media feed, all these things in this digital world that are taking us out of the precious existence and time that we have, which is right now. And that's what silence brings me back to. And in those moments of silence, the only thing that comes back to me over and over and over again is the desire to live my highest path, the desire to be my highest self that I can be. And buying a bunch of new outfits, that's not going to do it. Your highest path and your highest self comes from your energy from within, and you doing the work that you are meant to do in this lifetime. I had a really cool synchronicity today. I was about to watch a YouTube video, which I've talked about my battle of every once in a while I watch some videos by Aaron Doughty, because it's spiritual stuff that really resonates with me, but it's always something I have to keep in check, because again, there's nothing for me more powerful than silence. And actually, after seeing the commercial for his video, I didn't end up watching the video because it pulled me back to my intention that I set for myself over and over and over on a daily basis. But this video, it was a commercial for this, I guess it's like a website that has that says publications. It's called Gaia. Maybe some of you have heard of it, Gaia. But it was a commercial for a documentary that actually Joaquin Phoenix had produced, and I adore Joaquin Phoenix, and he's been incredible in the animal rights movement, and also he's an incredible actor. But the documentary is called Love Over Money, and it's about John Robbins, who I did not know this story. He is the son of the Baskin Robbins creator. So Baskin Robbins, it's an ice cream company in the United States, and like the 50s, 60s, it was the biggest ice cream company in the world. And it was his father, I forget the dude's name, something Robbins, Ivan Robbins maybe, and then his brother or cousin, something Baskin. So Baskin Robbins ice cream, whatever. If you've been in America, you've probably had Baskin Robbins. I certainly ate it a lot when I was a little kid. But anyway, these were billion-dollar heirs, and this John Robbins was his son, and he stood to inherit this company and just do the capitalist America, push, 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 make all the money. They lived in this gigantic mansion in Beverly Hills, somewhere around there, and they had an ice cream-shaped swimming pool, and just Rolls Royces and furs and more money than he could ever be dreamed of. And all John had to do was just get through high school and then inherit the company, and he stood to inherit this multi-billion-dollar business. But it was coming into the 70s, and there were a lot of people shifting in their consciousness, like there is again today. And he was much more in the hippie type movement, and he actually wanted to work with Dr. Martin Luther King on protesting for human rights, and he got very much into animal rights at that time, which didn't have as much of a voice back then, but it was just starting to. And he became very aware of the atrocities of factory farming and just how insanely brutal and poisonous and just demonic it is that we do these practices, which have only gotten bigger to this day. And he ended up leaving, telling his father he wasn't going to work for him, and he was interested in pursuing animal rights, and he didn't feel like because obviously Baskin-Robbins, that's dairy, it was this multi-billion-dollar industry, heavily reliant on another multi-billion-dollar industry that was enslaving cows and treating them horribly and separating baby cows from their mothers. And John Robbins was like, I'm not going to do this. And so he was basically disowned by his father, and he walked away from inheriting billions of dollars, being able to have anything he wanted. He just had to just do what dad said and just run the company, but everyone else would have ran it for him. He could have had literally billions of dollars, and he said no because he didn't agree with the ethics of it. And his heart was calling him to a different purpose, his real life's work. And so he was disowned by his father. He had no money, and he went with his either wife or girlfriend, I haven't watched the documentary yet, got a little teeny cabin in the woods, and he wrote a book called Diet for a New America. And that is actually, and I had no idea this whole backstory, I have read that book, and that is the book that sent me on my own path to animal rights and to vegetarianism, and then eventually veganism. But I read that book when I was 11 years old, and it's pretty young to, I guess, delve into that, but it came into my life. I read it when I was 11 years old in 6th grade, and it was a red pill for me. And after reading how, you don't even think about it. I think when I was little, I thought cows actually just naturally produced milk, and it's kind of embarrassing to admit, but I think maybe some other people think they're like, oh yeah, cows just make milk for free. No, they don't. They have to be pregnant. They're a mammal, just like a mama human. They have to be pregnant, and then their baby gets taken away from them so that they can be hooked up to a machine, and then humans can take the milk. It's not a good system. It's very, very sad. But once I learned about how all the animals are treated in slaughterhouses and saw the images I went vegetarian on the spot. And I stopped drinking milk at that time, but I was a little kid, and my family said, no, you have to drink milk or you're going to die, but I would have been fine. But that led to I was vegetarian for a very, very long time, and then became vegan after that, watching the documentary Earthlings, which actually Joaquin Phoenix made. But it was just a really cool synchronicity in that moment of pulling me back to what matters most to me is walking my highest path, walking my purpose. What is that? To help the animals, to help the planet. That's why veganism and minimalism are my two greatest passions. And coming back to, if you handed me $1 billion today, what would I buy for myself? I can't name one thing. Honestly, there is not one physical object that I would buy that I'm like, oh yeah, a new car. My car's old as shit, but I love my car. I would give some money to my father, who supported me as a single parent for a very long time. I definitely would give money to things like animal liberation movements and other charities, like children's charities, orphanage charities. I have a sponsored child with a group called Child Fund that does a lot of great work all over the world, so I would give more to that. But as far as money to give myself more things to feel better in life, no, there's not one thing I could have. And the coming to my own passion and purpose, it's the more I let go of, the more I feel in alignment with my passion and purpose. And because, as I've said many times, with minimalism, the aesthetic's nice. I think my home is decorated nice with the very few things that I have, but why my channel is not just this constant regurgitation of buy and declutter and dance and do tricks for the algorithm so I can get minimalism views, because that is totally missing the point. In my opinion, minimalism is, we just the way we are taking way more than we need with animal consumption and treating animals as property and putting them through immense, horrible suffering for our own gain. We are doing this with other resources of the planet, and whether it's with factory, slave labor things to be able to get these cheap little costumey type pieces from Shein or other, online whatever, or just things that are made very cheaply, or just cutting down massive areas of forest, or using, burning croplands to be able to build factories. And it's just the amount of resources we are consuming to feed our habits of consumption, where we are taking probably 90% more than we really need. This is a massive problem, and it is detrimental to everything around us, and it is a very selfish behavior we are doing as humans, and it is leading not to our happiness. People are not in their superhero outfits on their mission. Some people are. Not everyone is lost and depressed and not doing what they're passionate about. Of course, a lot of people are on track with it, but if you notice someone like Steve Jobs, who completely changed the world with his technology, he wore his turtleneck and jeans every damn day, no matter how much money he had. Mark Zuckerberg, say what you will about him, about the ethics of Facebook and whatever, but that was his work. He was on his mission, and he drove a beat up little Pinto car. Does he still now? I don't know, but that was years into him being a multimillionaire or even a billionaire. He still drove this little Pinto. Or I think about someone not famous, like my Aunt Bev. She is an incredibly talented doctor. She's a neurophysician and neurologist, and also was in the military for a very, very long time. Even came back out of retirement to serve in Afghanistan in her 50s. She's a badass. But she didn't have clothes for years because she just lived in her scrubs, and she didn't give a shit about fashion because she was in her work, doing her craft, giving of her best self. And I think when you come into alignment with that, whatever that may be, again, there's no hierarchy. It's not to say everyone needs to be changing the world like Steve Jobs, or be a neurosurgeon, or a professional athlete, or whatever. I had someone leave a comment the other day saying, oh yeah, I'm just a mom, and society sees that as nothing. And I think that is the saddest, one of the most egregious conclusions we have come to in modern society, to just someone say, oh, she's just a stay-at-home mom. Raising kids is so hard. And if you raise children well and let them be seen and heard and nurtured and soothed and cared for and loved, and let them feed their own inspiration and creativity, that's a superpower. Because there are so many parents that just did their best, but it wasn't enough. And there are so many hurt and damaged people roaming the earth who are just hurting and damaging more people because they didn't give proper love and care and attention at home, through maybe their parents didn't try, or they tried but didn't have their own tools. So to be a good parent, good mother or father, that's a damn superhero job. And if anyone has had a new baby, those first weeks of chaos, first months of chaos, you don't care about fashion. You care about getting through the day, keeping your baby alive, trying to get a minute of sleep. Like, my point is, in these moments of passion and purpose and being aligned with your highest path as a human being, the extraneous things like fashion or filling your home with stuff really and truly do matter less. And do you need to push the limits and drop your wardrobe to 30 items like I have? Not necessarily. Will I push the limits and go to one outfit with maybe a backup? I honestly might, especially if I do full-time travel, because it really, really and truly feels so liberating to not have that on in my sphere. Like, I want to be a human and do awesome shit in the world. I don't want to care about or just consume resources to put on something different to please someone else. I care about feeling good in my body and doing my work, and I'll wear something that lets me do my work and be my superhero self on my path and my journey. So this was kind of a roundabout weirdo video, but I think hopefully I got some sort of point across, where it's what it comes down to. As a extreme ultra minimalist, there is no possession now that would make me happier. And the more I could let go of even more and be more happy, as long as I am on my highest path and my work and being my best self in the world. And I invite you to perhaps consider what that looks like for you, and hold the intention not of, whoa, what will this outfit do to make me feel better? The outfit's not going to do it for you. Like, yes, like pick a few things that you feel good in, but at the end of the day, that's superfluous, that's materialistic, and it's your energy will emanate from a deeper place than what's on your body, and you will feel most alive in life when you are living your passion and your purpose. Okay, that's the video for today. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.